Mi-temps qu'a fois, c'est podium pour tout haïtien ordinaire qui font un travail extraordinaire. Quel que soit côté où il y a à travers le monde, nous menons sur podium mi-temps qu'a fois. Moun sa yo, c'est moun pa yo, c'est moun pam yo. Nous devons valoriser dans mi-temps qu'a fois. Ce sont des haïtiens qui font un travail extraordinaire. Ils sont des moun ordinaires. Yo humble, yo pas aimer parler de tête yo. C'est ça yo fait qui parle pour yo. Et je dis à yo ban nous chance. Yo vinn partager vie privée yo, vie professionnelle yo. Avec vous, côté quoi besoin inspiration, côté que y a guidé pour capable progresser tout. Mi-temps qu'a fois, c'est podium tout haïtien ordinaire qui font un travail extraordinaire. Nous valorisons dans mi-temps qu'a fois. My name is Mark Lubin. Je fais une introduction en créole aujourd'hui, mais que nous pas le faire tout choix en anglais. Et nous recevoir Kimberly Lopez qui sortit dans Citrus Network. Côté on va parler de adoption. Adoption sont bail qui important, il y a pile monde qui pas au courant, il y a monde qui connaît, il y a monde qui hésite parce que y a pas de détails. But we are going to get into it with our guest today talking about adoption, and it's something that some people know, some others they don't know. Some people, they said, I cannot, I don't want to do it because they don't have the details. But we are going to go to the details with Kimberly. She's an expert in it, and she has been doing it for a long time. She will be mentioning how long. And at that point, you will be able to understand giving love to a child, adopting, providing a home, a support system, they go to be better and productive citizens within our community and in the country as well. And that's the reason why we are receiving Miss Lopez from Citrus Network that is in Miami-Dade, and she's going to give us some details. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
I'm happy to have you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay. When we say adoption, there is something before adoption that maybe people don't know. We can say protecting a child. We can say they had some kind of abuse. We can say that those parents were not able, to care for the child. It's not that because they are not good, but something happened. That's life. Okay? Can you give us a little bit of detail as an introduction in order for people to understand when we say adoption, there is something before we get there.
Correct. Yes. So thank you for allowing me to explain on that. So we do have what we call prevention. Mm-hmm. So that is when there is a case called into DCF that there is a need for service to that family. Maybe they're homeless, they lost their job, or maybe they're experiencing some difficulties as far as substance abuse, something of that nature. The investigator will go out and evaluate that household to see if there's a need that can be something that can be achieved while the child is still in the home, or where that child needs to be removed from the home so the parents can get the services that they need, and then that child could be successfully reintroduced or reunified with that family. Mm-hmm. So that is the big first step. If the inspector or the investigator rather deems that the child needs to be removed from the home, then that's when they will reach out to family, friends, or close relatives to take in that child. And that's what we call relative or non-relative caregivers. Those people receive, or those family or friends receive assistance in reference to being able to service that child, if they need therapies and stuff like that, but also to be able to have them in the home and a loving, secure environment until they can be reunified with their families.
That's the first part that we call foster care.
Well, no, that's
family care.
So right after that, if there is no living relative, there's no family friends that can step up, that's when foster care becomes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 3 different areas, I guess you can say, leading up to that. Foster care is what we call the last resort, because we don't want children in foster care. We prefer them to be with relatives or non-relatives, but close family friends, because every removal and everything that comes after that is considered a trauma. Okay. So we want to minimize trauma to children. Okay. So last resort would be the foster, and I'm the lead foster adoptive parent recruiter for Citrus Family Care Network, so that's where I come into play.
Okay. When will be the time that a child will see and will be looking into adoption for a child? Give us a scenario of that.
Every case is individually, is based individually, but parents usually have 12 months in order to successfully complete services and stabilize, I guess you can say in a sense, and safe placement of the home so the child could be reunified. If that could be 9 months, that could be at the 12 months. If maybe there's just one missing piece, the judge may say, okay, we're going to give you a couple more months. So it could be a little over 12 months, but the regular length of stay, what we call, is 12-month period. Okay. If it's to where we get to that period and the parent is not able, that's deemed by the court not able to be able to be reunified, DCF has proven, sufficiently, to the state that this parent is not able to parent this child, then that's when they will TPR the parental rights of the parents, and that's when that child then becomes adoptable.
Okay. Let's go to it. They have the part that they have the neglect part. They have the part where we have child abuse and they go to court and they send them to class they didn't complete, and by not completing, that child might end up being in the foster care system. And then, they try to reach out to family members. It's not available, they are not there, and then the child will end up in foster care. After a certain time, the rights of those parents will be terminated. It will be done by the court and placed in foster care. This is when the adoption will be open after a certain time. Am I correct on that?
The only exception, or the only thing I'll recorrect on that, is that while they're in foster care, their parental rights are not TPR. They could be in foster care, their rights aren't TPR. But once they reach that mark, the 12 months, or a little bit longer, let's say, and the judge says they acknowledge that this is not, they're not able to be reunified, that's when the goal is changed.
Okay.
So the goal isn't changed once they get placed into foster care. It's rather after the length of stay.
After there is a violation, not compliance and everything.
Correct.
Okay, now, if someone is looking at the show right now and say, hey, I would like to be part of it, and to enter the system and maybe adopt and provide love, loving home for a child or two, and what needs to be done in order for them to get there?
Sure. So we have a dire need. I'll start by saying that. In dire meaning, we have kids sleeping in our office because we don't have enough homes. So it's a dire need. So the process is actually a lot easier than people think. So we have our, which we'll provide, but there is a number that they can call. They can also go to our website, www.citrusfcn.com, and they can actually do an inquiry there and leave their contact information. Then one of our recruiters, such as myself, will give them a call. We'll have a conversation, give them more information about the process, and then we will email them the link to our online application so they can complete that and start the initial process in doing it.
Okay, and when speaking about my community, we have people that have been living here for 25, 35 years. To them, because they speak Creole or French the most at home, they said, you know something, I cannot be part of it because my English is not enough. Let's go with, Celia Cruz. My English is not good looking. and this is what they said.
Right.
And then they are afraid. What would you say to those people that have such hesitation to be part and to provide? And they do have love to give, but they don't even know. They are looking, but they don't. It's difficult to them because they are thinking to tell themselves, no, I can't do it. What are you going to tell them?
Well, we want everybody to reach out to us because there's so many different levels and ways that people can help. As far as the fostering, the criteria, there is a course that you have to take. It's a 1 to 2 day week, 8-week course. Right now, we currently offer it in English and Spanish. So you must at least have comprehension of either or to take those classes, and you must have an English speaker, in the home. So I would encourage everybody to reach out to us because at that initial conversation when we're talking to folks, we're able to give you more information, but also you can kind of bounce off us and see, the verbiage that they're using? Is this something that I can, I think maybe I can keep up with, that I can talk, I can take the class? If not, that's not a problem. Everybody can help at every level.
Okay.
So maybe it's sharing our information on social media. We have volunteering opportunities. We're always accepting and needing donations of things. We partner with churches and that provide us opportunities to share our information. So there's so many different ways that folks can help, even if they can't or not able to foster at the moment. And even maybe they can't do it right now, but maybe they, improve on the language barrier, and then, they give us a call back and they're able to do it. So I would say reach out.
Okay, in anything, they have criteria in order for them to be qualified. Okay, what are those criteria in order for them to qualify to become adopting parents? Okay, what is needed for a man, for a woman in order for them to call you, and what you will request from them?
Right. So in reference to the fostering and adoption, the paths are very similar. So the basic step is completing our online application. There's some background screening stuff that needs to take place, obviously, federal, state, and countywide. And then there is also home inspections that need to be done. If it's in reference to fostering, there's different criteria as far as spacing in the home, sharing bedrooms, same sex, different sex children, so forth. There are certain different criteria as well with adoption. The difference between the inspection usually for the fostering and adoption is for the fostering, you're doing it for children under specific criteria that you're interested in.
Okay.
Part of the license packet, you're able to select the age range you want to work with, whether you prefer boys or girls, whether you're open to a child that may have ADHD, a teen mom, adoption, all that stuff is covered in that licensing packet. With the adoption home study and process, it's not as, let's say, stringent as the licensing because it's child specific.
Okay.
So once you're actually matched with a child, then that's when that home study is done. So there are two different studies.
Just put a little piece in Creole. Sous besoin d'entrer dans le système d'adoption, c'est facile. Et vous capable prendre contact avec Citrus Network, côté que nous mettez website là, côté que vous capable aller, ou prendre plus application en ligne, et puis laisser ça gain un monde qui peut faire recrutement, qui a prendre contact avec vous. Mais tout dépend de qui type que ça a besoin faire, sous besoin et petit garçon ou bien c'est petit fille seulement, et critères un petit genre différent, mais pas difficile. L'essentiel c'est prendre information pour nous capable ouais qui genre que nous capable faire ça. But the thing that I will add is most of the time people think it will be with the money. They need to have money to do that because they are going to adopt a child and they are taking it in a way that we do it back home. We have a child from another family. We are fully responsible for that. We are not waiting for the state to provide money to us. Okay? We provide a loving home for the child. We send the child to school. And we do all that we have to do. It's our child. Okay, this is how we do ourselves. And most of the time in here, they don't know, is there something that will come with it? And the burden is, hey, the job that I have, I don't think so I can have, but I would love to. But they stop right there because, okay, the economy is not, okay, enough to them. Is there some money that come with an adoption?
Yeah, so with fostering actually and adoption, they both have compensations.
Okay.
So that's the great part because we do acknowledge that without our foster parents and the community stepping up, we would not be able to provide the services to these children, right? These victims of their circumstances. So we actually have a lot of support system. In reference to the fostering, you do receive a monthly stipend to assist with the cost of care for the child. Each child has free Medicaid, so there's no copays or anything of that nature. And then depending on the age, they have the daycare or the before and after school care that would also possibly be covered by the state. And then there's lots of supports in the community as well as our agency that we do back to school distributions, holiday distributions. There's local foster and adoptive parent associations who have regular monthly activities where you can tap into, free clothing and other different events and things to kind of offset the cost of caring for the child. But as a foster parent, you are, like you mentioned, it's a passion thing. It's something that's from the heart. So that loving, treating that child and having them have normalcy, what we call in your home, is an expectation. You're expected to take them to the doctor just like you would your own. Take them to school or make sure they get to the bus stop just like your own. They go to public schools or daycares in the community, just like any other child. In reference to the adoption, with the adoption also has a monthly stipend that the child continues to receive till the age of 18. They also have Medicaid or services in reference to that. And then they also qualify for free in-state tuition, which is awesome because anybody who has kids, that it costs to send, whether to go to technical college or university. So the state actually covers that cost as long as they go to a public state of Florida institution. Okay. So those are, great benefits. So all those costs, things that you think of as a parent, they do provide that and they assist you with it. Okay. As far as the adoption component, I know you mentioned about the cost. So private adoption could easily range, into like 50,000 and up. So when you adopt from the state of Florida, the majority of the cost is assumed by the state of Florida. Okay. So they are required to get their own attorney and to pay for said attorney, but the state also gives you a benefit, I guess you could say, or a bonus when you adopt a child. So most of our folks use that same monies to cover that attorney cost. So in reality, there is no out-of-pocket cost to somebody adopting.
Yeah, and there is one thing that you mentioned earlier. If they don't want to become adopting parents, adopting families, and they don't want to have a foster care home to receive children, but there is a lot that they can do. And now, by doing, they can do volunteer. The volunteer, what will be the description or the task, what they will be doing as a volunteer person?
Right, so we have a database. So we put folks in our database, and then once we have a need during different events that we have throughout the year, then we would be able to tap into those folks. If they're available, great. If they're not, there's no problem. It's just giving them the opportunity to give back. For example, during the holidays, a lot of times we receive donations, and there is a central location where we have those donations, and we have wish lists of the children. So we go ahead and we will try to select that same gift or something very close, and that way those folks, those presents,
pick and drop.
Well, not necessarily pick and drop per se, but what we do is we have folks that wrap the presents and sort them, and then usually our case managers who regularly visit the homes, or our foster parent liaisons who work also with our foster parents. That's their support from our agency, our licensing department. Then they are able to actually deliver those gifts before the holidays, so the foster parents can add them to the gifts that they've already purchased under the tree.
Okay. Okay, and what I would like to maybe add for them is just like, you might not be able to do it now because you don't have enough information about it. But by becoming a volunteer, you will see and you will talk to people that will give you a better idea if you can, or maybe you can but you didn't know. And you are going to know and talk to someone that that have love and would like to have a couple of children, okay, with them and adopting if necessary, and then you might get to it and know. Ça veut dire que vous capable pas de connaître pendant que vous allez comme volontaire pour aller prendre information, et pendant que vous allez aider, même côté vous avez plus d'informations. Lorsque vous avez plus d'informations, ou même vous n'avez pas de penser que vous êtes qualifié, que vous êtes capable de faire, et pour voir son bail que vous êtes capable de faire, vous avez des amis. OK, et ou connaît moun ça intéressé mais il pas gain information, ou elle ba l'information, et puis à partir de là moun ça gain doit pral rentrer pour gain un foster care home, ou bien il pral regarder s'il ka adopter un petit moun, ça très bon, ça très important. And within the system that you are in, have you seen a lot of like Haitian children that needs maybe culturally they need to be maybe with Haitians, or they would love to be, just to get to know, to see attached to the culture, the language and everything. Do we have that? Is there a need there?
So we always need foster parents of various nationalities, and we welcome all. We do have actually, I would say over the last year especially, thank God, we have had a lot of different, Haitian families become
Step up.
step up, which is awesome, because we want to be able to place that child, like you mentioned. It's great to have that cultural,
Connection.
I mean, a home is a home. Thank God, we appreciate that, but that definitely makes the trauma a little bit less, right? Them to kind of feel at home. So we always want to make sure that we're recruiting for all avenues and all nationalities, so that way when we have that child come in, or those children come in, then we're able to place them appropriately. So definitely there is a need, constant need. The only other thing that I would mention also, if I could, in reference to the volunteering
go ahead.
component, is a lot of time, even if they're not able, even let's say to volunteer, maybe they have a connection in the community. Like I mentioned, the churches. So everybody at one level or another can do something. So maybe someone's not even able to volunteer, but maybe they knit and they have a knitting group. We have different organizations that actually do projects, love projects, and then they actually donate those to the agency. So when children come into care, usually they come with nothing. So we have actual duffel bags that are created with blankets and stuffed animals and different objects and things. So that way, when the child is placed into a home, they have something that's theirs that they can be placed in that home with. So we can add those donations to that. If there's also a women's ministry or another group that would like to host something or do something with the children, we can arrange that as well. So there's many different avenues on how folks can step up in the community at whatever level they would like to.
OK. Dans question prendre soin aider Timoun bay Lanmou, il y a pile bagay qu'on capable faire. Par exemple, ou son monde qui connaît faire dessin et ou son monde qui connaît ou c'est un couturier. Quel que soit ce capable faire et il est capable aider yo en tant que volontaire, parce que chaque leur a occasion pour bay Timoun yo cadeau, yo fait des paniers côté yo mettez toute bagay ça yo. Eh bien, ou bay Lanmou en façon pas, même si ou pas gon ti moun qui la caillou, et ou capable aider. C'est juste pour prendre contact avec Citrus Network et n'a mettez website là. Et what is the phone number if they need to call?
Well, they can call. I would say I would give them my number. Tell them to call me directly. So it's 305-301-3020.
Okay.
That is the best way to reach me.
You can say it again. 305.
Yes, 305-301-3020. They can also reach out on our website, like I mentioned, which is www.citrusfamilycarenetwork or FCN.com. We're on all the major platforms. They can Instagram, follow us. If they'd love to follow us, they can support us in that way as well, because then they can see what we're doing in the community. We always have different posts on different collaborations and partnerships, as well as different things that are being done with the kids. So it's a great way for them to be able to see what we're doing and then to also, help support what we're doing.
Okay, is there something that you would like to address that I didn't ask you for the Citrus Network?
I will tell you one thing, and that is that I am lived experience, meaning that I myself actually grew up in the foster care system and I aged out of it. You mentioned in the beginning of how many years. I've actually been doing this straight out of high school. So I'm around 25 years now, 26 years in doing this. And having living the experience and been through what I did, I decided that I wanted to try to contribute to make the system of care better. And so this is something very passionate to me.
Close to your heart.
Close to my heart, because I have seen the positive changes in the community. But just like with any field and with any need, there's good years and bad years. But child welfare is something that's a consistent need. It never goes away, unfortunately. Things improve, but there's always going to be a need. There's always going to be stressors. And with the economy and everything else going on, there's families that don't have the support. And unfortunately, they fall victim to the circumstances. And that's when, we may receive those kids in care. So any way that everybody can help out, it's don't think that you can't, that it's too small of an effort, because this is what can come from that. That just little drop, pebble, that one person that takes an interest in a child's life can make a world of a difference. So I thank you for your time and for your listeners, sir.
And then what I will say that I will add, don't play the blame game by saying those parents, they were not good, they were not supposed to have children. No, you are there. You can provide love. You have a house, you can support. Whatever that you can do to help someone have a life, understanding and receiving love, just show it by volunteering by contacting Network Citrus. Give me the website again.
www.citrusfcn.com.
And your phone number?
305-301-3020.
Let's try to make a difference. Keep them with love and give them the opportunity to have a better life by participating within the Citrus Network, what they do, adoption, foster care, volunteering, and providing love. It's needed more than you know. Please participate. My name is Mark Lubin, and my guest today was Kimberly Lopez, and hoping that you will get in touch with them and do what is necessary to let love grow within our community and for our children. Hoping that you are going to have a great holidays. My name is Mark Lubin again. Thanks, Kimberly.
Thank you.
See you next time. Mitan Kafwa, c'est podium pour tout haïtien ordinaire qui font un travail extraordinaire. Quel que soit côté où il y a à travers le monde, nous menons sur podium Mitan Kafwa. Moun sa yo, c'est moun pa yo, c'est moun pam yo. Nous devons valoriser dans Mitan Kafwa. Ce sont des haïtiens qui font un travail extraordinaire. Ils sont des moun ordinaires. Yo humble, yo pas aimé parler de tête yo. C'est ça yo fait qui parle pour yo. Et je dis à yo bon une chance. Yo vinn partager vie privée yo, vie professionnelle yo. Avec vous, côté quoi besoin inspiration, côté que y a guidé pour capable progresser tout. Mitan Kafwa, c'est podium tout haïtien ordinaire qui font un travail extraordinaire. Nous valorisons dans Mitan Kafwa.